Good afternoon, esteemed guests. Here from RIT, we would like to welcome you all to Demo Day. Today, we will start this event with opening remarks by Dr. Yousef Al-Assaf, President of RIT Dubai, followed by remarks by Jamil Shinawi, CEO and co-founder of AHOY.
Thank you, Jude. Thank you. Good afternoon, colleagues. On behalf of everyone at RIT Dubai, faculty, staff, and students, we welcome you to your home. And please consider this to be an extension to what you do now and in the future. We are not for-profit university sponsored by Dubai Silicon Oasis and the government of Dubai to have activities like this one. We know that we are encouraging our students and faculty and even staff at the moment in order to build up companies, to create new solutions, and to really diversify the economy. And this is not a classical university. We are not behaving like a classical university. I am not a president. I am a CEO of a company, and my students and faculty and myself, we have to create business. Now, the idea we created at RIT Dubai, a committee, we call it Startups and Spinouts. And we are opening it to our students, faculty and staff, and even the community. Why don't you come and enjoy the ecosystem in order to create new solutions are made here but distributed to the world? Now, I tell my colleagues at the university, I could really close the door and keep thinking about what we need to do, the courses, whatever. But without having the external parties coming and joining us to create an ecosystem rather than a university, we will not be successful. So we are looking for partners. If you noticed, we don't have gates to this university. We are asking companies to come and have presence at the university. So if I am a student, I will not see classrooms, lectures, and gym. I see companies, I see connection. Look here, Johnson Control is here, it is hidden. This is a Bahraini company. Well, your stage has hidden all these companies. HP Gaming Garage is just next door. We are collaborating with HP because we said this is a $160 billion business, and in the Middle East, we have people, they play games, but they cannot create games. It's our job, really, to build it. So we build the garage with HP, inviting everyone, come, and they will teach you to create games. Now, we have students, they come because they think, oh, I'll go there and play games. They discover after a minute, it's a storytelling, it's coding, whatever, they leave. 80% they leave, and we look for the 20%. We say, look, this is your business into the future. So let me finish because I don't want to take much of your time. Please, we would like you to consider RIT Dubai, in Rochester, in Croatia, in China, to be an extension to your business. All of us, we need to contribute to the new generations, regardless where they are. All of us, we have to be inclusive. We include everyone and really create communities and create opportunities for everyone. This is a place which is yours, please. And I would like to thank my colleagues at AHOY for really giving us the opportunity to host you here. And I would like to thank everyone who was involved in this business or creating this event. And I hope, inshallah, this will be the beginning of achieving this. I wish you good luck. And if you need anything from your family, regardless what it is, we are around you. Just please ask. Thank you so much.
Under the roof of RIT's Innovation Center, we have students, startups, faculty, corporate executives, and even investors. So let's make sure that by the end of today, we all get to talk to one another, network together during our networking breaks. And please remember that the goal of today is to inspire the next generation of minds here with us at RIT. Our next speaker has held positions as board member and invested into tens of successful businesses, from KSA, MENA, and even globally. Successful entrepreneurship has been part of his DNA since he was a child. He even founded his own company at the age of 14, which, by the way, sounds like child labor to me, but regardless, put your hands together to Jamil Shinawi, CEO and co-founder of AHOY.
Jamil, before you start, you have been an entrepreneur since the age of 14. You had 9 successful exits. You're from Saudi. How much do you have in your bank account?
Maybe 1,200 dirhams.
I'll leave you to it.
So, to me, this is a bit ironic because I actually didn't want to go to college at all because I had an exit when I was 16. I didn't see the point of it. My mom pushed me very hard, and I did it for her, but then I actually found my way. College teaches you how to obtain information. You actually develop a lot of people skills in it, and this is why we're coming back to schools, and you should never leave school in reality, if you want to create, if you want to evolve. So for that reason, we actually are here. Now, when we started AHOY, we did not start with copying somebody. We did not start with a product market fit even. We didn't start with the conventional stuff that everybody tells you about ecosystem, startups, and entrepreneurship. So it was very difficult. And we didn't find much support, belief, and we found a lot of criticism from everybody. But we knew that this is how it should be done. If you look at research in universities, students' papers, ideas, it all starts from curiosity. Curiosity is actually very creative. And there is a gap today. We don't have the need to be curious. We are forgetting how to stay playful. We are forgetting how to stay children at heart, and we should never lose that. This is actually key. So we obtain knowledge, but we don't follow on our curiosity, and then we go take boring jobs, and it's a dead end, basically. We want to avoid that, and we want to help people avoid that with us, and we want to create new things. We don't want to copy a successful startup that happened in Silicon Valley and just localize it. We don't want simple digital transformation. We want the free radicals, and we want to take them from anywhere in the world to the rest of the world. Technology transcends all borders. All the convention that, I'm sorry to say it, venture capital, and mostly have actually injected into us benefits them and them only, and it actually is not about your innovation. It's not, they don't know how to judge it, they don't know how to nurture it, they don't know how to add value to it in most of the cases. The idea behind AHOY 24SIX9 RIT and other partners we have from software development houses such as, we have Kiwi Tech here today, coming from India and the US. We have startups coming from the UK, from Berlin, from Seoul, from the UAE, from Saudi Arabia. All of us come together. Even startups can add value to other startups. We are all humans. There isn't a hierarchy or there isn't expertise between people that gives them a preferential value to their opinions or ideas. Every feedback matters. We are here to come together, amalgamate, and actually bring out new, innovative things. That's what we are really about. We want to take people from 0 to 1 and see them go from 1 to 100. We want new ideas to come out. We want to go back to basics. Everybody forgotten why entrepreneurship matters and should not be glorified like it is today. To be honest, it's not a glorifying career, but it is a very interesting, rewarding career if you're passionate about it. And if you want to change the world, it is actually one of the things that you can do. Engineers, for example, they change the world, but sometimes it only happens after their lifetime. For entrepreneurs, it happens. You can see it. For their teams, it happens. They can see it. That's the idea behind entrepreneurship. This is why it matters. And we want to make it easier. So in 24SIX9, we're bringing legal and financial support, technical support. We're shortening the cycle of how you get money in, hire developers, and then go and develop. So if you don't want to do that cycle, you come, there are developers, you go ahead. So we have a code for equity program. We have a corporate venture building program as well. We have a fund to fund and give seed funding to all the startups that we have in there. People who want to invest money, they don't have to worry about us charging them management fees, because that's not what we're about. The idea here is, how can we propel forward with innovation? And how can we do it in a sector agnostic fashion and complete equal access? Something that's very inclusive. We don't look at religion, nationalities, race, or any of those things. What we're looking at is the greater good. How can we actually innovate? We do not look at anything else. We don't look at CVs. We don't look at anything except at people, their potential, and the potential of their ideas, and the passion and that energy that they have. For that reason, 2469 also studies a lot of the psychological and behavioral factors in that. And today, you'll hear some of that from some of the experts in the field, Lori here and Taryn. So we have actually brought the components, all of it, and it's open for everybody, from legal, from investment, from even behavioral and psychological, and tech, market access, venture building for corporates, corporate entrepreneurship, startups, all of that, to anybody from anywhere. If you want to do something great, talk to us. That's it for me today.
Thank you, Jamil. Let's move on to the next chapter of events. Next, we are going to start with a carefully selected group of founders to tell us about their entrepreneurial journeys.
Our next speaker will share his journey with us. He is a serial entrepreneur with 15 years of track record of developing and scaling new technologies. He serves as a member of the AI Ethic Advisory. He is an artificial intelligence expert. Please, let's make some noise to Noor AlNahhas.
When Duha and Jamil reached out to me to share my entrepreneurial journey, I said, really? You want me to tell? It's been a terrible story. There's a lot of tears, and there's a lot of crying involved, a lot of terrible ideas. And I thought, why do I want to tell people all of that? And then I thought to myself, okay, what would I have wished someone had told me when I started? Instead of hearing about someone talking about their journey either, and by the way, entrepreneurial journeys are always so rosy when the successful people talk about them, right? It's so easy, they made $1 billion over 3 days. It's never that way. And so I thought, let me take a step back and think, what do I wish someone told me or someone shared with me that would have made a huge impact or a difference in my journey? And so it's a weird number, but I found 8. Honestly, I think it's because I just didn't want to, every time I remembered them, I was like, oh my God. So I just stopped at 8. But these are the things that really mean a lot to me. These are the things that made a difference at nybl, across multiple of my entrepreneurial journeys, the successful ones and the failures. And I think most people like to talk about success. I like to talk about failure, because we're going to get into that in a bit. But before I even start, I want to ask you guys a question, and this is my favorite question. You guys might have heard it, you might think it's cheesy, but I still love it. What is your deepest fear? Yeah. Failure? Okay, that's a really good question, a good one. People, your fear is people. Okay. Yes? Regret. Okay. What, marriage? Hey, let's talk after. So these are all the typical answers you get, right? And I got this, if you've seen the movie Coach Carter, this made a huge difference for me. And this is one of my favorite poems. This is a modified version of it that we use all the time at nybl. And I'm going to read it because it's that important. I think our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. It's not regret. It's not failure. It's not people. We're afraid. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. I'm going to read that again. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. What does it mean? We think we're going to fail, so we're not going to try. Because what happens if we succeed? We think we're going to regret, so we're not going to try. Because what happens if it does happen? It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, fabulous, talented? Who am I to actually succeed? Literally, we're presenting to AdNoc against some of the biggest names in the industry. And you ask, well, are we really going to go up against IBM Watson? We did, and we won. Right? But the question is, we ask that all the time. The reality is actually, who are you not to be? It's not your right to not be fabulous. Yeah? Your playing small doesn't serve the world. This is really important. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that people won't feel insecure around you. Actually, we are all meant to shine. And as we, just not in us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other permission to do the same. This is really important. So when you feel, what am I doing or what am I not, I recite this poem to myself. When I'm going to speak and think, what am I going to tell these people that they wouldn't know themselves? I say, okay, well, no, let me shine. And if one person leaves the room today inspired to do the same, then I've done something good. So I recite this whenever I feel like I read this poem. I haven't memorized it, as you can tell, as much as I'd love to, but I read this poem every time I think that I shouldn't do something or I think I shouldn't talk about something. I read this poem and it makes a big difference for me. And that's something I wish I learned early on. So shine. Every one of you shine. And today, for everybody pitching, hey, go all out. Jump on stage. I've sat on stage before. I dropped the mic and yelled about it, so there's nothing wrong with that. Shine, and it will help you keep going forward. This is my favorite, second one. Meet Bill. Bill is my favorite type of person in the world. I'll pick Bill any day of the week over anybody else. Can you guys guess why? He doesn't stop, right? He just keeps going and going. And the rock keeps coming. And he keeps going. And the rock comes again. And he gets up. Persistence. And this is one of my favorite quotes on earth. Is by President Calvin Coolidge. It says, there is nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. This is real. This is a fact. I wonder how many WhatsApps were developed before the real WhatsApp was made. You think they were the smartest people in the world? No. They just kept going when everybody else quit. Talent will not take the place of persistence. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with tons of talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. And education will not. Well, guys, go to school. That's not the point. But persistence and determination are omnipotent. And that's a superpower, I call it. If you don't give up, I mean, Karim and I, we've been through this years and years and years. And if we give up, then we wouldn't be here. Every time told us, what are you guys are stupid, what are you doing? Yet here we are. So persistence is one of my favorite words. So this is going to be cheesy, but I love this. I'm the chief of dreaming stuff up at nybl. And there's a reason of that. But a dream is just a dream. A dream written down on paper or with a date becomes a goal. It's cool, we'll wait for you. I'm just teasing you, man. A dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. A plan backed by action turns your dreams into reality. But this is entrepreneurial journey. I used to not think about this. I used to not do it. And when I did, and I wish someone early on had told me, just write this down, put a plan. What is this actually? That's a business plan, right? With your goals and a plan, and then your strategy, and then your execution. And this is reality. Put it down on paper. And you can listen to our team here, ask them the dreams I put down. They're insane. But it's good. It's good to be insane. What's the point of being normal? What's the point of dreaming for something everybody has? I dream to have 100 cars at least, just to start with, But you have to do the plan. So Don't just dream. Take action. And when I started taking action is when I made a big difference in my life. And it was like the third business, by the way. The first two were lucky. The third one failed big time, and I said, okay, hold on. What am I doing wrong? I wish someone had told me, write down, make a plan, go through it. And a plan, it doesn't mean you have to follow it. But if you don't have a plan, you will fail. Business is business. This is really important. You know, what's the first thing that happens when you start a business? Discount, right? Your cousins and your family, they want the freebies, they want everything. But more importantly, you may be starting a business with your friend, your colleague, your fellow classmate, right? And we're best friends, man. We'll never disagree. We don't need a lawyer to write this down. I've been there. I lost a company because of that. And it was somebody I respected more than anybody in this world. So the reality is here, if you've agreed to it, write it down. And if you're writing it down, get a lawyer to review it. And I think we have Hamad and Mahdar law firm and the teams here and some of the startups pitching about legals here today. And 2469 has a great agreement with some fantastic lawyers. Spend that money. And this is my favorite part. Can you guys guess who wrote that quote? It's me, Thug Life. That's right. I just quoted myself because I'm up here, I can do that, all right? But this is reality. It's based on what I've actually been through myself, and it's really important. Spend that money, write that paper. Because even if it's your best friend or your brother or your spouse or your life partner, they may not have understood exactly how you meant it. And when it's on paper, it's very difficult to misunderstand. And of course, get a lawyer to review it because they're your best friends. Most importantly, and I live by this every day, we talked about this, you are in the people business. I only learned this 2 years ago, and I wish I learned this way before. It would have made a huge difference in my career. What do I mean you're in the people business? You're not in the drone business, you're not in the fintech business, you're not in the movement business, you're not in the software business, no. I don't care what you do, you're in the people business. Your people make the product. Your people deliver the service. I just want you to think about that for a second. You're in the people business. If you have the best people, if you treat your people in the best way possible, if you motivate, if you support, if you lead, it doesn't matter. You will have the best product. I don't do much at nybl anymore. I have amazing people. I'm joking, I do a lot. I was trying to make a point. But the reality is, every company in this world is a people company, and the moment you recognize that and start working towards that, everything becomes easy. Everything happens better. And that's one of my most important lessons that I wish I learned way before, is that you're in the people business. Of course, people run the company. I forgot about that. Learn to say no. Oh my God. I wish I learned to say no. And it's really important. What do I mean by that? Learn to say no to your customers. We just spent 3.5 months preparing the scope of work. Can you provide us a quote in 6 hours? Yeah, sure. I won't sleep. No, learn to say no. Saying no allows you to create value for yourself. Saying no allows you to not get spread thin. Saying no also allows the people who are asking for these things to learn to respect the value you provide, right? Saying no to your customers is important. I used to do this early on. Everything the customer said, yes, we can do it. And I thought that's okay because I need to bring revenue for the company. We need the revenue to survive. Well, actually, that was just money in and out down the drain because you bring that revenue in, you have to figure out how to do that, then you waste 10 times as much effort to do that, and you didn't come out any plus. And I remember when my daughter Naya was born in 2014, I used to think customers would say, oh, I need to work in the oil and gas industry. They're very well known to want ridiculous delivery times. And so they say, yeah, we want this presentation or we want this thing done tomorrow. And I would say, yes. And then the second Naya was born, I was like, the hell with you guys. I am spending time with her. No, it's not going to happen, my man. It's going to take 2 weeks to do this. You took 6 months to prepare it. You can wait 2 weeks. It was so good. It was so successful. It made such a huge return. I wish someone had told me saying no is okay, because I used to never say no. And I lost so much opportunity, I lost so much time, I lost so much effort and wasted so much effort because I didn't know how to say no. And everybody will respect you. Nobody will say, why are you saying no? Actually, most people will try because they think you won't say no. The second you say no, they say, oh yeah, okay, sure thing. So I wish I learned how to say no early on to your friends and family. Meaning, hey, get us in on this. Can we get a discount? Can we get support? Or the point here is not to select them or highlight them, but to say that even to those people, you need to learn to know how to say no about the right things. And then to each other. This is one of the most important ones in your organization. This is what I encourage all the team. If you're not able to speak clearly within each other, within your founding team, within your organization, hey, that's not a good idea, then you're going to fail. And you need to learn to say no and accept the no's. And I actually encourage that because I can be kind of loud and, convincing. And I need people to say no to me because I don't want them to just follow what I say. Challenge. And so learn to accept the no's as well. It's okay. They'll respect you for it. And so I wish that was one of the things I learned. Number 7 is simple. Focus. It goes back to saying no. It goes back to learning what you're doing is simple. Focus. Don't try to do everything. When we were trying to do everything in nybl early on in 2019, we were everywhere with everybody. Yeah, it was great, but we really didn't get much done. It was like treading water, just trying to survive. And because of COVID, thankfully, we said, okay, let's focus. And I wish I had learned that early on. Focus generates multiplied return. And then my favorite one is I learned from Bill Sherrill, may he rest in peace, is my mentor, the person who I can say is one of the very few people that could lead my journey to here was him. And I was sitting in a course at University of Houston called Intro to Entrepreneurship as an industrial engineering major. And I remember finishing that course, and this was the first thing he spoke about. And I said, I want to do this, and I am the dumbest person in this room. This is the right room. But there's a reason why. It's because you want to have the smartest people around you. You want to have the people who know better than you in everything around you. That's how you'll succeed. Listen to what others have to say. I didn't used to listen. I can be very thick-headed and convinced in what I need to do, but listen to what others, and that's what it means by be the dumbest person in the room. It's easy to listen when you're the dumbest person in the room. When you surround yourself by people who you think you're better than or you're smarter than, you will not listen. And ask all the questions. It's okay to ask dumb questions. I ask them all the time. And by asking them, you'll understand more and others will do. So I wish I used to. I didn't ask them before. I wish someone told me about being dumb. And that's the one of my biggest lessons. So those were the 8. If you want more, I'm happy to chew your ear off. But these were the top 8 that I wish someone had taught me. I hope at least one of them has added value to you, and thank you so much for your time, and good luck today.
Well, our next speaker has been in Dubai since 2008. He's the founder of OneMoto, which is an award-winning EV company focused on changing the way delivery is actioned through smart mobility. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Adam Ridgway.
When I was asked to come and present, I thought, what do I want the take-home to be for individuals in the room? Can I just get a bit of an understanding? Hopefully I've got it right. How many startups are here? Bless you. Great. How many are pitching today? Good luck. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an insight, and everything that Noor said, focus, huge. As a startup, whoever the founder is usually has that massive vision, and they want to show and demonstrate with their passion that they know everything, they've got all the answers. And yeah, you do need to get that across, especially when you speak to investors, but you also need to ask the questions. Standing there in front of VCs and understanding all of the 3-letter acronyms is mind-blowing. Ask the questions. I thought I wanted you guys to have a bit of an insight into a little bit of success and a little bit of failure. Everyone has their own barometer of success. And the one thing that we've all been through, the startups especially, some of the students, is one of the most important things in my eyes to accept. And I am going to be introducing you to OneMoto, but I'm also going to be accosted by a load of parts of one of our bikes. But I would like today to talk about change. Change over the past couple of years has been, crikey, it's been forced upon us. And change when it comes to the swivel, the pivots, the other buzzwords around sort of life and business is incredible. And it can be really daunting. It can also be quite upsetting at times. And it can also lead you into a hole and you don't quite know how to get out of. I'm sure most of you will be there, and that's a cool place to be, because it also gives you a chance to look at things slightly differently. So I'm going to be talking about change. I've been doing it since 1981. I've been changing everyone since the day we were born, we have. I'm just going to give you a bit of an insight. I didn't do particularly well at school for the simple fact that it didn't interest me. I was quite good at art, and I succeeded there, but when it came to everything else in school, nothing really appealed to me. There was in the UK, I don't know whether you have it here, but there's a UCAS book, which is yeah? You're going through that, and you've got this, it's bigger than any book I've ever seen. I don't even know how it opens. But you have to then select the universities, go through those universities, then select the course, some of the courses you haven't even heard of. There was no skill set. There's an AI play on this. What suits your personality? You don't know. You can see what suits your passion, but also what's your focus? What is your trigger? What are you doing it for? This is way beyond setting up a business, because the journey of tenacity, sheer determination, arrogance, self-confidence, all of that, that's something that's just naturally inbuilt to those entrepreneurs and founders. But up until 99, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And however, I started my first business when I was 16. I was doing boat cruises up and down the River Thames. Amazing. I was the most popular kid in school. And at 16, I was bullied like you wouldn't believe. But I managed to turn that around for my benefit, and I was making a lot of money from these bullies. And £4,000 a month is a huge amount for any teenager to be earning. Crikey, a lot of founders that have been 10 years in the business would also like to be earning a clear, straight £4,000 a month, right? But I went and met a careers advisor, and his name was Paul, and I'll never forget this guy, because as much as I left that meeting utterly disappointed, I've actually held him in quite high regard. I'll explain. So when I realised I didn't want to go to university, I submitted all the UCAS forms because I had to. But I went and met this guy, Paul, and he said, Adam, what do you want to be when you're older? I said, I've absolutely no idea. I was hoping that you'd be able to help me. Well, what are you good at? I'm good at art. Well, why don't you go to university, do an art degree? I don't really want to go to university. Well, you know, you won't get on anywhere in life if you don't go to university. I said, my personality, I don't feel like I want to go to uni. Why is that? I'm going to get into loads of debt. I'm going to party a lot. And I don't know what it is I want to do. And I don't know where I fit in the world. And at 16, no one really knows where they fit. You can think what I would like to do. Then what do your parents do? My father works in advertising. Go to university, do an advertising degree. So after this sort of back and forth, I stood up, and just before I left, he said, Adam, what do you want to be when you're 30? That's like double my life away. I have no idea, but I did actually have an idea. And I said to him, I'll be a millionaire by the time I'm 30. And he smiled and chuckled, and I'm sure he's heard that from a load of arrogant 16-year-olds before. And he said, how do you expect to do that? And I said, I've absolutely no idea. And that's what I was really hoping this conversation would give me some sort of level of input and insight. And he laughed, we shook hands, and I said, I really, really hope that at some point today, you are going to be able to help at least one person. So I walked out of that room and I thought, what am I going to possibly do? So I began my adventure. I had jobs because I was creative. I just went and earned money. All my friends went to university. I eventually did go to university because I went and partied with them at the weekend. I was the only one that had money in my pocket, so I was the big flash guy that was buying the rounds for everyone at the student unions. Amazing. But I began that adventure, and I didn't really know who I was. It wasn't actually until I was 28 that I found where I felt like I fitted in. Not into world and society, but I knew where my calling was. It's not the job I do now, but I knew that my personality had matured to a level that I could really plug myself in to not only accept change, but also help others. So my thought when I was growing up is change is something that happens to you whether you like it or not. Crikey, puberty, falling in love, falling out of love. Change is something that happens to you, but then I look at things slightly differently. And this was when I was in my late 20s. I believe that change is something that you can bring. So from my early 20s, I set up companies that set up a company that set up companies. So I knew I was entrepreneurial. I didn't necessarily have that resource or knowledge, and I certainly didn't have any wisdom, but you learn en route. Entrepreneurialism was not ever taught at school. It wasn't even a subject. It's a word that I could barely pronounce, but it was even now. But then it got to about 23, and I got a job working at the BBC. I'd run businesses, I'd worked at a certain level, I was earning fantastic money, traveling most of Europe, but I wasn't satisfied. And I bought a property when I was 22, I bought a villa when I was 24. At 25, I was working in the UK, earning £7,000 a year, shocking, but I loved it. Working for TV superstars and celebrity chefs and actors. It was just an amazing career, really exciting, fueled a passion, but it certainly didn't reward me. I needed money, but money was never my trigger, and I knew that. I also got cheated by a property developer, which then meant I lost my property overseas, which then meant I lost my property in the UK. That is harrowing at your mid-20s, and you just have not got a clue how you're going to make that money back. So just under £100,000 in debt. Well, sorry, I lost £100,000, and I still needed to pay off some of that debt. I went through why would anyone do that to me? What have I done in the past? And I fortuitously met a lady in a cafe, and I looked miserable. I was deeply upset, and I had this huge blame of, why would you do that to me? How? I just could not. There's so many questions that I couldn't answer. And this random Italian woman, I said to me, do you believe in karma? And I said, yeah, I do, and I just can't work out. I really opened up to this absolute stranger. And she said, I said, I can't believe what I could possibly have done to deserve this. And she said, Adam, karma doesn't have to work that way around. And I thought, it doesn't. You always think, what bad happens to you? What have I done in the past? But no, what bad has happened? What possible opportunistic positives could there be in the future? It took a little while for that to absorb. Eventually, I thought, what am I going to do? So I do believe change is now something that you can own. The next question is, what do you want to achieve? And when you set up a business, in fact, either business or start a career, there's a big question to ask, and that is, what do you want? Yes, you can be focused, but on what? What is your trigger? Is it 100 cars? Absolutely it is. Is it to have a nice watch on your wrist? Is it to have a family? Is it to have a football team of children? Whatever your trigger is so important to understand. And hopefully that most of you in the room know what your purpose is. And when it comes to setting up a business, I'll go into that in a minute. My purpose is I wanted to make a difference. So when I moved here in 2008, I was 28, and I knew roughly where I wanted to be. I set up a company. The first one wasn't quite a failure because I managed to switch it into a holding group, Power Perception, great lesson. And I set up this holding group that then built 4 companies within. We're the first company in Hollywood history to cast for a feature film online with Mission Impossible 4. We worked with some of the biggest brands from Ericsson to Carrefour to ADNOC. We branded, redesigned global companies. And I'm walking in there with this sort of charlatan-esque presence, but with the confidence, arrogance, and everything else that you needed to walk in there and go, yeah, I can do this. I just need one chance. But you start asking for a chance, you're probably not going to get it because you're young, you're naive. People don't necessarily have the confidence in you. But if you show them that they should have confidence in you, give that presence, then people respect you. I was turning 40 a few years ago, believe it or not, and I'd noticed the problem in 2016, and that's with the last mile industry, a delivery sector. And being a motorcycle rider for many years, I thought, I walked out of this garage. I had a classic car that I wanted to get converted. 3 garages said yes, 3 garages failed. And I walked out and I saw this spectrum of beaten up, battered, bruised delivery motorbikes, petrol. I thought, I wonder if anyone's doing those, creating those electric. And the answer was no. I looked locally, regionally, internationally, no one was doing it. I thought there's an opportunity, but there's got to be a reason why Yamaha, Bajaj, Honda, all the others, they're not doing it. So as I was looking at this research, I then started asking customers. And one of the biggest questions when you start your business is you're people focused, but look at the customers, ask them. They'll tell you what you need to design, but ask enough of them, they'll tell you exactly what you need to design. Am I running out of time here? I feel like I'm getting ushered off. So when I was turning 40, I thought to myself, do I want to be doing the same thing for the next 10 years, or do I want to be doing something that will make a difference? I was becoming a father for the first time. I just bought a house in Dubai, just renovated, and now I dance. And I managed to sell this company, Media Cubes, a few years back, which then allowed me to turn my side hustle of OneMoto into a very potentially large business. So I'd just like to give you a bit of an introduction as to who OneMoto are. So we're a young, lean, fast-growing mobility brand. We've got a global vision, which I think is very important to have, but a very local mission. And we work very closely with our customers to identify the stakeholders, the problems, and address those problems head on. We have that local mission, that's to electrify all last mile vehicles in the UAE by 2024. And if you say that loud enough to enough people, they start believing you, which is great because then you and the team and everyone else believes you as well. We're demonstrating that the UAE take action before COP28. And one of the biggest, I wouldn't say advice, I'm not really here to give it, but one of the biggest things that I take value from building brands for companies for over a decade is to build a business for a reason. If you want to be impact driven, do so. If your purpose is greater than what you truly believe you can deliver, but it delivers a difference, then go for it. So right now we impact 15 out of 17 of the UN SDGs, which is bigger than any automotive company globally. So that, as a value proposition, is fairly compelling. So we design and build the highest performing EVs, and 90% of our focus is on the last mile. We solve problems. So identify the problems that you're solving. You can have a great thing. You can have a great product, great service. And if it's that just to give a level of enjoyment, great, that's your purpose. But if you can address the stakeholders and deliver solutions to the problems, then you've got something. The 3 problems we identify: environment, profitability, and then the rider time and safety, which is, for all the delivery riders, is incredibly crucial, not just here, but globally, which then leads into a global expansion. But we needed to do more. And a big part of that, and I've heard it a few times, is building that ecosystem. You can't do that alone. You're a startup. You need funding. You've got resource issues. By collaboration, and Jamil mentioned it earlier, startups working with other startups allows you the opportunity to really make a difference. And we are proudly partnered with RIT, and they're developing the 3 new vehicles and battery as a service. So this ecosystem that we have is from manufacturing, charging, battery as a service, software as a service, fleet leasing, and then we've got distribution. So although we are already selling, is that going to play? No. Although we are already selling vehicles, we've expanded into 5 continents, 12 countries, just in the past 2 years. We've got a very, very audacious goal ahead of us. But it's about bringing change, therefore you accept it. And something that we're doing is building a 3-in-1 vehicle, completely interchangeable, completely modular. And the success of that, we'll wait to see. Some of the customers and partners, early customers are great, but treasure them like you do your own mother, because it's so, so important to, it's 4 times more expensive to get a new customer than it is to keep an existing one. When you're a startup, that cost is incredibly crucial. And with the partnership with RIT, it's really allowed us to free up some capital to be able to really focus on building the business. When you're raising capital, and I love getting on stage and pitching, whether you need the money or not, it's about being on stage and practicing, rehearsing, and really sort of crafting that presence. You can judge me on my presence today, but I'm okay with that. So we want to place the UAE on the world EV stage, and you can do that by collaboration. And whatever your purpose is, you can certainly do as well. So I'm going to leave it there. Change is one of the most embracing things you could possibly do to accept the challenges that you're going to have within your journey. Change is definitely going to happen, so you might as well own it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam. Wishing you and OneMoto all the best. Ahmed, who's coming up next?
So our next speaker is a startup founder, angel investor, mentor, and an athlete with 15 years of experience. His startup is a pro-tech startup called ProTender. It's the first and largest construction tech platform in the MENA region with 85 team members and over 28,000 users from 105 countries and $45 billion worth of bets. So maybe he's very rich. Let's make some noise. Karim Helal.
Hello, everybody. How are you? My name is Karim Helal, and I can't follow this introduction, honestly, and a very good speech before by Noor and the other ones. So listen, the question again, also when they asked me to do this presentation, I was trying to figure out what I could do to really help the next generation of entrepreneurs. Just to give more about who I am.
Glory and Taryn, we're sitting with them.
There we go. So we are effectively, the pitch that I had today is how did we build the most successful, unsexy startup in the region? There is a very clear differentiation in the Middle East between sexy and unsexy startups, and we are the furthest away from a sexy company. We are construction tech, we are B2B, we are SaaS, we are the least sexy thing you can have, and yet somehow, by sheer luck, miracle, persistence, we made it happen. So a bit about me. So I've been in this ecosystem for about 10 years. I've been an entrepreneur, I've been an investor, I've invested in 15 businesses. I've mentored anybody who I could mentor before, so about 50 companies. I've done not 100, but 1 billion mistakes. I've done every single mistake in the book, and yet we're still here, so clearly you learn from your mistakes. A bit about ProTenders, just to tell you what we do and you understand those stories. So again, what I wanted to do today is to show you not what you hear in the news, but what the reality is of building a business. How much you go through the ups and downs, what you actually suffer through, what you actually go through. What is the reality of building a business in the Middle East? So who here has built a business, has built an office, has renovated something? Who has any construction industry, any construction experience here? Anybody? Some of you. Was it a fun experience? Anybody? The answer usually is no. So construction is interesting because it's one of the oldest industries in the world, but it's a massive industry, right? There's a massive need to constantly build more and more and more and more projects, and yet it's one of the least modern industries. It hasn't evolved in 100 years. It's the same way we're building today, we were building 100 years ago. It makes no difference. And so the consequence is most projects end up not working, right? 65% of all the projects either fail, have a delay, are over budget, go in courts. It's a massive disaster. And this is in a place where construction should be the most efficient because, again, we live in the Middle East, Saudi, UAE, massive projects everywhere. The amount of problems that you see is just unbelievable. So my story is I grew up in it. I grew up in the UAE. My dad was the first architect in the UAE. We came here in '68. I'm not that old. I'm from '76, so a bit younger. And so we grew up seeing the whole construction boom happen in the region, seeing how it was. And after that, I went to Canada for 20 years to work and live there. And I came back when my father passed away in 2006. And we realized being the only business guy in the family, that construction is extremely archaic. right? There's 1,000 companies working together. There's no communication. It's paper, faxes, emails. It's hard to keep track of everything. And of course, being the guy from IT and from Canada, there's got to be a better way. So let's try and do it. And so that was the initial pitch that we had internally in 2008, sorry. Right? It was going to be, let's build a system for us. It's going to make our life easier. How hard could it be? So we ended up building a system for us internally, and I'll take you through quickly the feature, but that's not the point of it. It's not a pitch. So we ended up building our own solution internally that really helped us as a company build our own processes, manage our tenders, save us time, save us process. We became our first customer, right? We didn't need to find customers because we were our own customer, and we had a lot of time to go and work out through our experiences and through the platform to make it better. So the MVP got time to really build up with the platform. And this is one of the first things that I have to really suggest, is find somebody who can help you build your MVP as you're going along. Don't try and build something too complex and go out there and push that out. Really try and take time to really build what needs to be built. And so over the next few years, we ended up building it, expanding it. It became an extremely powerful system for managing our own tenders, everything from a small house to a massive building. A few people heard about it, they got interested, we opened it up to them, and so on and so forth. Actually, you know what? Let me skip this. This is useless. Let me skip this. Let me go to here. So this is what you typically hear when you hear about building a business, right? You have your initial phase where you start to grow, and you have your growth, and it's all linear, it's all flat, it's all great, it's only going up. This is not how a business is actually built. Our business, and I'm sure every other startup here, goes to something like this. And this can be copied 1,000 times over during the lifetime of a business. Growing a business is not a flat route. There is no easy way to, there's no right way to build a business. So let me take you through this so you understand what actually happened here. 2008, let's do it. Can't be that hard. No, let's build a business. Let's actually build a platform for us. So we started here. We built it internally for us. We were building it and improving it, improving it. Again, it was really more of a side project. It was really more for us. And we opened it up to a few people that were interested in it. So it wasn't really a big business. It wasn't really my main focus. Going back to what we were saying before, lack of focus, lack of growth. We weren't growing it. We were not really focusing on it. Which is what I call the valley of death. Effectively, you're not growing, you're not going down, you're just basically surviving. Which is fine, because that wasn't my main business at the time, right? 2015, actually 2014, the question became, well, what do we do with it? It's starting to cost us money, it's taking time away from what I'm doing, do I want to spend time on it? And so at that point, the interesting question we were getting from a lot of our customers was, listen, I know the UAE, I've been building for 25 years, right? But now I want to build in Morocco, in Egypt, in Saudi, in Algeria, in wherever else. Can you help us find the right people to go and work with us there? Can you help us understand the pricing? So how do you understand the pricing somewhere else, or who to work with to minimize your risk as a developer? The flip side was all of the people looking for jobs that were coming and saying, yes, well, you guys know the industry. Who do you think might have a project I can go and pitch on? And that discussion happened not once, but hundreds of times across the globe. We were going and had the same conversations in here, in Canada, in San Francisco, in Monaco, and everywhere we were going, same conversations. And so you realize through all these conversations that the bigger problem isn't the tool, it's how do you connect people together, right? And this is when we had the idea in 2014 to say, you know what, let's take what we've built and expand from it to being a LinkedIn for construction. Now it's going to be quite straightforward and quite interesting. We started building it, 2014. 2015, we launched it. No marketing plan, no strategy. It was really, let's build and see what happens. I'm a product guy in the background, so I'm more about product than anything else. So let's build the product and see how it goes. And I mean, extremely surprisingly, it went hyperbolic. We started going and raising and signing up thousands of customers every week with no marketing, with literally nothing out there. Hypergrowth. Now the question became, well, this became then my full-time business, and then how do you make that growth stick? Then you got to start building a business around it. Then you got to have salespeople, you got to have marketing people, you got to have customer support people, you got to have operations, you got to have finance. The team went from being here 3 people to being here about 100 people, right? Divided in 5 countries. We had Vietnam, we had Poland, we had India, we had the UAE, and we had Canada. all working to support the system. And then at this point here, the question became, well, how do you make sure that the customers are always happy? How do you make sure you keep on delivering value? How do you make sure that the customers are always getting what they want? Going back to what Noor was saying, focus is important. So we were getting pulled out from every direction, right? But what we wanted to do is to build something that everybody could use. So we filtered out 90% of the questions we're getting to really focus on the core vision, which is connecting the whole industry into one platform, right? And so here I decided, you know what? Let's raise funding. Let's keep on scaling even more so we can hire even more people and keep on growing even more. So we went around all the VCs here. And remember, at that point, we were making about $1 million in revenue per year. We had 28,000 customers. We were working with some of the biggest developers in the region. We had quite a few awards. We went through every single VC in the region, and everybody said, construction, we don't care. You're not a B2B company, you're not a B2C company, you're not an e-commerce company, you're not a ad tech company, we don't care. And this is when you realize that one of the key things you have to understand is the ecosystem you live in. The ecosystem you live in is going to help you succeed or not, depending on what the ecosystem values, right? And this is one of my pet peeves on this ecosystem. The innovation, so we've so far had the culture of copycats. The Middle East has been very good at funding and growing copycats, and not so much on the funding innovation systems. And this is why I'm a big fan of what Jamil is doing here. We are at the cusp of a second revolution, which is really funding and supporting and empowering and encouraging innovation-based companies to really thrive. Nothing that we've done here was ever copied from anywhere else. It was always listening to customers, what they have to do, what they need, and building it accordingly, right? VCs will not help you. Most VCs will not fund you. Most VCs will not listen to you if you are not part of the core things that they do look in, right? However, it doesn't mean you have to give up, right? One of the biggest traits you have as an entrepreneur is persistence. You are going to get beaten up 1,000 times, 10,000 times. It doesn't matter. You get to know, you get up, you continue, go see the other one. It just takes one person to believe in you, to keep on doing it. Only one. So we found our one, we thought, here. We found actually two investors that wanted to invest and grow the platform and, anyway, change the world. And then we signed the deals, everything goes well, we start celebrating, we start hiring even more people. And unfortunately, not everybody being honest, the deal fell through. Actually, we did sign, but people never gave the money, right? And so overnight, we went here in Jan 2020 from being a $6 million rich company to having zero in the bank, just before COVID. And so then you ask, what do I do? Do I give up? I love your face, man. What do you do? Do you give up? Do you continue? Well, no, you continue. You had to go through a massive effort of downsizing. We went from 100 people down to around 15 people. But we kept on going. We kept on delivering value to our customers. We kept on going to see the people that we really had to worry about, our customers and our employees. And it took us 2 years. 2 years of us going through the motion, persisting, working, iterating, pivoting, trying to find ways to keep our customers happy, moving. What we ended up doing is we ended up moving our head office from here to here to a location that was more suitable for what we were trying to do. We actually moved our head office to North America, and within a month, we were able to raise the funding. What had taken us here 10 years to try and do, we got it there in about a month. So the question is, the rationale is don't try and change the ecosystem. It's not going to happen. You cannot change the ecosystem. You have to adapt to the rules of the game, you have to adapt to where you are, and you have to either do what the ecosystem wants or move somewhere else. Again, which is why I'm such a big fan of what they're doing here, because they are actually changing the paradigm, right? So again, this is a bit of the real truth of what happens behind all the PR and all the things. Anyway, long story short. So just wanted to finish up with really a couple of sentences that I print everywhere and I always look at. So some of the many mistakes along the way. If you'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Right? People don't know what they want. People have an idea what they want, but they don't know actually how they're going to deliver it. You want to go faster, you want to get, for us it was how do you get more information about building? How do you build in a less risky way? It's up to you to come with a proper vision of how you want that to happen, and that becomes your guiding light. Your guiding light never changes. How you go about doing it, how you go about building it will vary, will pivot, will change, but the mission will not change, right? Our vision is to make construction as simple as ordering pizza in a sense, right? Like Noor said before, and I'm sad he picked it before me, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And this is 100% correct. And the moment I felt it the most, just to go back to this year, is actually here. Actually around here. I remember very clearly that moment that we had in the company growth where, so up to here, again, it was mostly 3 people. And we were building, iterating, working long teams. As part of us growing, we started hiring teams, of course. And I remember very well there's a moment, actually just about here, we had closed the funding round, we were having our weekly management meetings, we had a proper management team, 100 people, everybody was great people. It was the first time in 6 years that I was in a management meeting and had nothing to say. And this is when I said, you know what, that's it, we're good. We're done. I was actually the stupidest guy in the room, and it felt good. This is what you have to aim for as an entrepreneur. You have to aim for finding people that are better than you in everything. And you are there to see them work. You are there to suggest. You ask questions, but it's up to you to give answers. That's not your job anymore. Your job is to find the best people for what you're trying to do to build that vision. And we had that. And the last one, of course, always go for Rocky. Rocky's never wrong. Every champion was a contender. They refused to give up. I cannot say it again. You will be beaten up. You'll be hit. You'll be sabotaged. You'll have every single bad trick pulled on you multiple times. The people that make it are the people that just do not ever give up, right? And if I can tell you honestly, there is at the end of the again, like Noor was saying before, nothing beats persistence, right? So that's about it for today. I was really giving you a proper view what being an entrepreneur actually is, and yeah, feel free to come and talk to me for more questions. Oh yeah, and keep building.
Thank you, Karim. Our next speakers joined forces to co-create S&W Accelerate, a high-impact strategies building culture and capabilities for positive change. Based out of Dubai, they worked with selected leaders as their innovation partners here in Dubai.
So they enable emerging leaders shaping the future of positive impact. Please help me welcoming on the demo day stage, Lori and Taryn.
Okay, hi. Thank you for being here. It's nice to have a nice big audience.
Do you need to speak louder?
Do I need to speak louder? Not anymore. Thank you for saying that. Okay.
Get out of the way.
Okay, I'm going to start off with a bit of a story, and it resonates with a lot of what Jamil said, and I think this gentleman here is Noor. I don't see him now, but not too long ago, I was invited to participate in something. I was very honored to participate in it. We created a panel, a project panel for a group of scientists and engineers in the biotech space. And the problem was that a lot of these extremely intelligent people were unable to work out how they wanted to take their idea to market. It was actually at MIT, and they were students from MIT and Harvard. They joined forces because the challenge was that in order to get financing in universities like that, and it may well be at this university as well, I'm not sure, venture capital comes with an agenda. And so what was happening was that the venture capitalists would go to MIT or to Harvard, and they would say, build what I want you to build, do your PhD thesis according to our agenda. And what was happening was a lot of the genius at these institutions was being left on the shelf to collect dust. as they had to direct their attention towards where the money was. And the universities realized that if we want real change and to benefit the healthcare around the world, they were going to have to help these innovators, these geniuses, frame their ideas in ways that would resonate. They had to, a lot of these people, I'm going to be really frank, a lot of them are on the spectrum. At MIT, about 70% of them are on the spectrum. And that's a strength, because they were powerhouse brains, but they really didn't understand how they frame their ideas to appeal to venture capitalists, but also the end user, the customer. They were thinking really more about the science than the applicability, the human factor, and that's what we realized. So we had a panel of business people and academics and successful entrepreneurs, like a lot of the people in this room, and together they would pitch their ideas, and based on those ideas, we would choose which of these geniuses we would work with over a 10-week period. And then in the process, what we found was not only did their pitch evolve, the marketing spiel that they came up with, did that evolve, but the science itself evolved, because they realized that a lot of the research they were coming up with was not actually user-friendly. So over those 10 weeks, they evolved their ideas, and then they were ready and prepared to talk to the venture capitalists. As a result, the number of patents went right up, and these people were feeling that they were satisfied, that they were actually creating impact. The reason why I was involved in that is because of the work that Laurie and I had done over the years. We've known each other since we lived in Singapore for many, many years, and then we worked on local, regional, and global projects for multinational corporations. And skip that a little bit. Oh, there's more slides. That's me and Laurie. And my background is in organizational behavior, and Laurie is a cognitive expert, cognitive psychologist, and together we would work in multinational organizations, many of the bigger brands that you're familiar with, as well as government bodies throughout Asia. And we would help them align their people to their market. And it is surprising that even really big, successful organizations don't quite get that they have to think about the people element of it. And when I was working with the group at MIT and Harvard, that was certainly the case. But even in multinationals, we were noticing that there was a pattern. That organizations are very busy. You've got different sections and different departments with different portfolios, and they're moving in different directions. And if you want to create impact quickly, you need things aligned. You need to identify what your purpose is, and you align your people behind that purpose. And so through Laurie's company, Syzygy, she has identified those behaviors that organizations need that are just as applicable to the big boys and girls and the multinationals that we've worked with as they are to the startups. So through this Syzygy, we've distilled the essential behaviors needed for success you may be able to get there eventually, but using these simple methods that Laurie's about to describe, you create more impact faster. So these are some of the organizations that have benefited from Syzygy. And now Laurie's going to describe the methodology that she came up with.
So as Taryn said, and what everyone has shared so far, a lot of it's got to do with psychology. So I think we talk about technology, about the market, about customers, but at the end of the day, it is about the people element. And let's take the people element one step down. And if we go back to first principles, there are certain assumptions. And if you look at yourself, whether you're a founder, you're a student, you're an investor, you're the university, whoever you are, come back to you. And I think that's one of our key messages is look at your assumptions, look at your mindset, and you like a ripple. So you like a stone that gets thrown in the water and it ripples. And so what we want you to be is mindful of every single thing you do every day you come back and look at what are your assumptions. If you move on. And what we found was really powerful, and it's a really simple visual. What we found that whether we worked with Nando's, the grilled chicken from South Africa, whether we worked with Singapore Airlines, the government bank in Singapore that now was becoming a global, and particularly in Asia, a digital bank, whether it was HP, Dell, Cisco in those early days, that earlier wave, not this Web 3 wave, the Web 2 wave, whoever we worked with, what we found is that the leader right at the back of the chain, they would set a general vision. They would be very clear where they wanted to go, but they would constantly iterate. So they would create the line. And as they worked with their team, so if you look at the CEO right at the back, the founder, the investor, then each group of people in this value chain, and everyone's pulling together and pointing in the same direction, and that direction may change, over time as people look at what do they achieve, what do they do, and what do they need to learn. But as Taryn said, it's about everybody coming together and working toward a shared purpose. So the big message we want to say to everybody is look at where you're pointing, and are you galvanizing and bringing your people with you? Because at the end of the day, the people are the ones creating the technology. The people are the ones creating the operational structures or operating rhythms. So there were certain practices that we found which were behaviors that became habits. And that's what we've turned into tools that we work with organizations to help them. So, as I say, the alignment is the one message. The second message is about constantly think about your own thinking and reflect on how your thoughts, your mindset, your assumptions are affecting your behaviors and your results. So a third message we'd like to share is, again, about the human element. As we digitize, we need to humanize. So Zappos was very famous for, even though they were selling all the shoes online, there was no human intervention. The leader had a phenomenal call center, and the goal of the call center was to deal with humans. So whether it was a granny that just wanted to have someone to chat with, and they used the excuse of the shoes to get on the phone and chat with the call center, they leaned into the human element despite the fact they were selling everything online. And what we've done with, let's say, Jardine Matheson, a huge conglomerate in Asia, or Hong Kong Airport, no matter who we work with, whether it's SMEs or founders that we've collaborated with, what we always look at, and for example, we're in the learning space, so we've got technology that's AI-driven, but we found a lot of our clients are just pumping technology to enable performance, whether it's learning or data analytics, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, let's not forget the human psychology, because the truth is AI is based on how our brain works, and I think we often forget that. So the fact that if we learn, so I think someone here in the audience has got technology that listens to the call center people, but as the AI picks up patterns, are we feeding that back to the humans and then helping them to then feed back and train the AI? It's just this dance between the human intelligence and artificial intelligence that we feel could be taken more seriously. And then I think, as mentioned before, especially the last speaker, was really one of the things we feel strongly about is as you innovate, you should do that with integrity, because it's all about impact. And of course, impact is your bottom line, it's your stakeholders, it's raising more money. But at the end of the day, they're humans, which is yourself, your team, your customer, and the larger community. So again, look at the ripple and how that's impacting the people and the planet. And again, it's just a reminder to constantly come back and check in with yourself. So as a wrap-up, really the key message is about alignment. And that's a secret weapon. When you walk into what we found is when we walk into a hotel, into a small startup office, wherever we go, when there's alignment, you feel the energy, you feel people pulling together, everyone's able to tell you where the shared purpose is, where the mission is, and they really feel part of the co-creation journey. And it's back to basics. It's really about humanity. So if anyone's interested, in January we're going to be running these sessions, alignment sessions. We normally work with organizations 3, 6, 9, 12 months over time, and depending where they are in the cycle, as the previous speaker shared, there are different stages of evolution. So whether you're just starting out or you've at different funding, investment raising rounds, just reach out to us, and we're happy to run a couple of sessions where we would do it as exploratory rapid design sessions with you. And that's all I think we have to say.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.